Ah, VR, the promised land of gaming. I remember when I was younger imagining VR to be the final frontier of gaming. Surely total immersion was the end goal. Movies like Spy Kids 3D and Tron depicted entire worlds within the devices, with places to go, people to see, and things to do. I could never decide at that age how this could be accomplished with movement and such without a full apparatus, complete with a treadmill of some sort. That's not what we got. We may still get there, but this is not how VR exists today. It is its own niche, with headsets costing as much as a console, and is still viewed as a novel experience by the majority. Well, I recently talked myself into buying a VR headset, and I have some thoughts. I purchased the Sony PlayStation VR 2, mainly because my limited research indicated that it was the best model for a gaming headset, but also because the only VR I had used previously was the original PlayStation VR. One of the most important things I want to mention, mainly because I believe PlayStation makes it purposely difficult, is that the PlayStation VR 1 games do not work with the VR 2 headset unless they have received an update, which, at the time of writing this, most have not. The game I was most excited to play was Skyrim VR. I love the Elder Scrolls games, and I had played it for a short time at a friend's house, so was very excited to experience it fully. I downloaded it, connected my VR, which I will speak more on later, and booted up Skyrim VR. A message appeared. Please connect compatible VR headset. Strange, I think, as I go through the motions of ensuring everything is connected. The headset and controllers work fine with Beat Saber, so I return to Skyrim. I get the same message. It is at this point I Google it, only to find out it is not playable with the VR 2, and more still, the majority of VR 1 titles won't work with my VR 2. This was a moment of profound disappointment for me. I take accountability for not doing the research first, but in hindsight, I think it was fair of me to assume that the VR 1 games could work with the new headset. It seems to me like this would be... Oh my god. It seems to me like this would be an easy fix. The main difference between the headsets is the camera, being external on the VR 1 and built into the headset on the VR 2. The worst part is that Sony refuses to refund Skyrim VR because I downloaded it. It is not clear in the slightest that VR 1 titles don't work with VR 2, and I am certain this is by design. Also, PlayStation makes it incredibly difficult to find their VR titles. Searching VR 2 will still give you the VR 1 titles, and many don't show up on the list, including Skyrim VR and the Horizon VR game. It genuinely feels like Sony has put minimal effort into the store side of their VR, which is simply stupid. Yes, they got a free sale out of me through ignorance, but now I will hesitate to ever use their store again. With that little rant out of the way, let's talk about setup, which could not be easier. The headset plugs into the PlayStation, you connect the controllers, do the setup for the play area and such, and you're good to go. The controllers came completely dead, to the point that I thought they didn't work at first, but I am unsure if this is to be expected or was a fluke. Either way, they took about 90 minutes to charge. Not too long, but annoying when I already had been waiting to use the headset. The headset itself is well designed, with a head strap that tightens slowly, allowing you to distribute the weight. The only notable discomfort I have noticed is when the weight shifts forward and rests on my nose, but this is avoidable if the headset is tight enough, and I am thinking a small piece of foam or something similar would solve the issue. Now that I have gotten used to putting it on and taking it off, it requires minimal adjusting between sessions. The battery life on the controllers is decent, but I do worry this will become a problem as they age. As I mentioned, the headset plugs into the PlayStation, so does not have a battery life, but the trade-off, of course, is that it is corded. As far as available content goes, there is both much to be explored and not nearly enough. To explain, there are titles I have been interested in for some time, such as the Titanic VR experience and Half-Life Alyx. But Almost certainly due to the niche nature of the hobby, groundbreaking titles are few and far between. I looked at several lists of the best VR games and must-own VR titles, and a theme emerged. The majority are from at least 5 years ago, with Half-Life Alyx, a game that is 6 years old at this point, consistently making the number 1 spot. This is not to hate on Half-Life Alyx, which is amazing so far, and truly does represent the golden standard of VR gaming. But more to point out that studios seem to have decided the market is not big enough, that VR games are not profitable. I hope this changes, as it is clearly an untapped market, and if enough other titles like Half-Life Alyx existed, I think more people would own VR headsets. This does lead into my next point, being another reason I think might deter people from purchasing VR. The motion sickness. I personally underestimated how quickly this would affect me, and I've had to take frequent breaks, as that is what is recommended. Everything I see says it will get better with time, but it is still frustrating to not be able to use the headset because of this. Developers take steps to avoid it, like snap turning and moving, and sitting seems to make a large difference when playing games with a lot of walking or running, but it still creeps up. After being disappointed by my Skyrim VR experience, or lack thereof, I discovered that I could download the VR update for the Resident Evil 4 remake for free since I already owned the game. Let me tell you, I have absolutely been loving playing through this classic in VR. Never have I so easily and readily explored a gaming environment so fully, looking at and soaking in all the tiny details that are so easily missed. It is not unique to Resident Evil, but the gun interaction is very smooth and satisfying as well, with realistic reload animations and an updated knife parrying system. Each is kept on your person in a different location, and reaching for them will equip them. You can even dual wield. The amount of fun I have had using the pistol in my right hand and the knife in my left cannot be overstated. I have found that sitting is preferable to standing for me, at least at this point, because standing brings on the motion sickness much quicker. I've noticed that the encounters that triggered motion sickness the fastest are the ones that require lots of quick movement and turning, which makes sense. 2 examples are the boat fight against the giant fish monster and the fight against the village leader when he becomes a bug man. Ultimately, assuming the motion sickness truly does diminish with time, it is manageable. Now, considering I was not able to play Skyrim, I was seeking another game to fill that void. While looking online, I discovered the PSVR 2 has an adapter that allows use on the PC, opening up a host of titles not available on the PlayStation Store. One day and $40 later, I got this adapter set up and my headset and controllers connected. This is when I discovered my computer's Bluetooth was not stable enough to support the controllers, leading me to have to make another purchase, being a Bluetooth extender. This I, of course, don't blame on Sony, but I did find out how common of a problem this is. Do companies skimp on Bluetooth for some reason? Regardless, this is one of the better purchases I have made. It works flawlessly, and will allow me to use some other devices in the future, too. So, I got the adapter, got the Bluetooth extender, connected the controllers and headset, and booted up the Steam VR for the first time. While it is cool, I wish it didn't use so much GPU simply running VR. This is leading to around a 55% GPU usage when I'm playing Half-Life Alyx, and over half of that is background processes. I am sure this is necessary on some level or another, but I am certain also that it could be optimized. This is relevant because it took at least an hour for me to get Half-Life Alyx running smoothly, and it still has major issues every time I launch it. My computer should not have issues running this game, having looked into it, and my GPU usage does not explain the poor performance and issues. This has led me to believe this has something to do with the VR software Steam uses, but it could also be the adapter. I have tried different ports and other fixes like that, for the record. It's a lot of work to play one game, but it is what it is, and will pay off in the future, hopefully. To briefly talk about Half-Life Alyx, it is sincerely what I imagine when I think of an amazing VR game. The detail is extraordinary. If I want to reach down and pick something up, I can. There are markers in front of this window with writing on it. You bet your ass you could pick up that marker and write on the window. This is not the Half-Life Alyx glazing video, but I do want to make clear that this game deserves its accolades, even with the issues I have had. I sincerely hope other companies take inspiration from the game in the future. The possibilities are truly endless. Ultimately, I've been enjoying my VR headset immensely. I will admit some of that comes from novelty and my own excitement and anticipation, but the experience is truly different from any other I have had in gaming. As I mentioned, there's something about bending down to stick my finger in the nose of a giant monster I just killed that tickles my soul and makes me happy. Gaming used to be about exploring the game and interacting with things as you get lost in a fictional world. VR allows for a level of immersion impossible otherwise. Several times I've been playing Resident Evil 4, killing zombies and solving puzzles, having a grand old time, only to take off my headset and realize it's already 2 a.m. The motion sickness can hinder this, but it is manageable. I would recommend VR to my friends, although my experience with Sony makes me hesitate to recommend their devices, even though the hardware itself is pretty great so far. I think it is important to understand what to expect, and so hopefully this limited recounting of my experience helps in some way or another. Or not. At least I got to rant. Thanks for watching. Do you have a VR? Which headset? What do you think about the points I made? Would you add or correct? Let me know.